Welcome back to Audio Oomox, the Deep Space Nine show with two dudes who talk about the episodes. We don't do point-to-point plot, point. Do you get that point? But what we do is we just talk.
We're not the Cliff's Notes.
No. If you're studying up for the DS9 final, we're not the guys. We're more like the guys who you would go to if you were having to write an essay. And it would be not a particularly deep essay.
But you might get a few laughs from the instructors.
You might want or laugh at us. We don't care. We can't hear you laughing with us or at us, but we're glad you're here. Welcome back to the show. We are closing in on the end of Season 2 of Deep Space Nine. Today we're going to talk about the Tribunal, and then next week we talk about the Jem'Hadar, and then the week after that we do a Season 2 wrap-up, and then we begin a series of kind of indulgent episodes where Brian and I are just going to pick some topics and talk about them all the way through Christmas. Now, here's the thing, fans and friends. If there is a topic you want to talk about, get on your phone, hit that little memo button, and say, hey, dudes, first of all, here's my name, here's my city, and then you say, here's my favorite episode of Deep Space Nine, and then you could say, dudes, I would also like to suggest we do a show about famous loves of Star Trek, or best villains of Star Trek, or worst episodes of Star Trek, or worst movies of Star Trek, or whatever.
Most interesting appearances by character actors, or...
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Well, I'd go off because I always just fall in love with these character actors and go off, and you're like, I don't know who that.
We've got a couple of them today, right?
Oh man, Fritz Weaver. Oh man. Yeah, so we'll get right to it. So don't forget that. So we're going to be doing Tribunal today. This originally aired in June of 1994. It was written by Bill Dial, who. And I knew this, by the way. I didn't have to look this up because I'm a big fan of WKRP in Cincinnati, and Bill wrote a ton of those and helped create the show. In fact, I believe he was the one who actually lived the whole Pinedale Shopping Center turkey thing. I think that really happened when he was an intern at a radio station, something similar to that.
God.
Yeah, I believe that's true. I hope I'm not making that up. But Bill Dial, who we lost just a couple of years ago, he wrote this one. It's a very well written, but it's also directed by a new kid on the block. Got a good head of hair, but he looks better without it. Avery Brooks directed this episode. It's his first episode directed by Avery Brooks. And here's what's going on here. O'Brien is arrested and brought to Cardassia to stand trial for smuggling weapons to the Maquis. Behind the scenes, Sisko and Odo investigate and learn that the Cardassians themselves were involved in the smuggling to help fuel the conflict. So you got the show starting there, and you got Keiko and Miles in a shuttle going on vacation, but right before then, Miles bumps into Boone, a dude he knew on the Rutledge.
Right.
And
and who is that character actor? Do you know
John
who
Beck.
that is?
John
okay, because he's been all over the place.
He's been the perfect mustache in everything he's ever done. I believe he was in Rollerball with James Caan too. I think, wasn't he?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just recognized the face. I was like, that guy has been twirling his mustache.
He was on Dallas.
He
was Tom Selleck or Tom Magnum on Magnum PI. It was his ex-wife Michelle's new husband. I remember that. And he always seems to get the kind of thankless roles. The nice looking bland guy. It seems about right. But but he plays kind of a. Well, he's got a mustache to twirl. He plays a villain in this one, but so Keiko and O'Brien are in the shuttle, and he's probably a nod to Scotty from the original series. He's looking at his technical manuals, which is interesting to me. By the way, you're probably already going to say this. Why is it that you need 50 pads?
A stack of them. Yeah. Right. Yes. That just annoyed the hell out of me. I was thinking, can't you just have it on like a little? We've got memory disks. We've got little sticks already. We've got little USB thumb drives that can hold.
I mean, dude, I have over 500 books on my Kindle. Does that mean I need 500 Kindles?
Yeah, you just have a big stack of them, just carrying them around.
Good gravy.
Yeah.
I think it was obviously done because they're trying to illustrate that he has a lot to read, and it would not work. But it's still dumb. So they basically gets picked up by the Cardassians, and he's going to go on trial. And what I love about this is this kind of comes from something Gul Dukat said in the Maquis Part 2. where he basically said on Cardassia, the verdict is always known before the trial begins, and it's always the same.
Right.
And that one line gave them the concept for the whole episode. That's what Ira Stephen Bear said. And I love that about Cardassian society. That, along with like their literature, the never-ending sacrifice, and all this stuff. Isn't it fantastic how, with just a few lines here and there, they've completely crafted this Orwellian world that is Cardassia?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I mean, that it turns everything that the Federation and the U.S. of course knows and loves about having the right to confront your accusers, the right to counsel, to know the charges against you, all those things that we take for granted are exact opposite. It's like opposite world on Cardassia, because trials are really just for them a public way to reinforce the
power of the state.
Not just the power, but the wisdom of the state.
Oh, look at you! You sound like Fritz Weaver. You sound like Cravat or whatever his name was.
I mean it's very interesting.
I fell in love with the production design here. I thought that everything from the really awful prison garb that looks like something that was in a thriller video that they put Miles in.
They just recovered it from a tire recycling place or something.
Yeah, and if they put Colm Meaney does a fantastic job. But before we get to that, I was just going to say though, but the courtroom. My God, that courtroom looked incredible and scary. And
oh yeah, set wise, yeah.
Man.
It was great. From beginning to end. I mean, the interrogation room where they're they're zapping him, roughing him up just a bit, pull out his molar, doing all this. It was terrifying, and I think. Very early on, I think Miles has a good idea that this is not going to end well. So
it's true.
It's very interesting.
It is, and only thing missing from this one was there was no Garrick. Unfortunately, he would have been logical.
Yeah, you would think they would have asked him for some advice. Although Odo, I guess, knew enough about Cardassian law that he was able to insert himself, which was interesting. And I would have loved to see Ducat.
Yeah, or it wouldn't have been interesting if even Cisco even had to grovel a little to Ducat, say, "Hey, look, man, this is trumped up. Do me a solid, help me out here." But they didn't go there. And I know, even if they had Garrick do a little on the station, he couldn't go Cardassia. He couldn't go with them.
Right, so, he was exiled, but he might have been able to advise or
just have delicious scenery. Goes, "You're screwed."
Yeah,
basically.
Or he could make a phone call. Who knows?
Maybe to an Tain and say, "Look, Tain," but Tain, but Garrick wouldn't step out for Miles. He wouldn't do a favor for Miles.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And Miles, because remember, Miles is no Cardassian's favorite human. So let's remember.
Oh,
that.
sure, yeah. We get close to the end there, and they're saying, "Hey, we've got you recorded saying, something about the damn Cardies or whatever," and he's called them a few names throughout his
spoonheads. God, it's coming up. I think
snake necks.
Where Garrick says that though. Somebody calls him a spoonhead. Spoonheads. It's so funny. Spoonheads.
Yeah.
So
you would hope we would get over that type of racism and xenophobia and that kind of name calling in the future, but apparently.
There's plenty of name calling from the very top here in the United States these days. So,
yeah.
So really, I mean, probably not. It's kind of like Roddenberry expecting religion to be gone in 300 years. Well, I don't think we can count on people not calling each other names in 300 years. But I thought that Meaney, this is one of those let's torture Miles O'Brien episodes, as they're famously called, or something similar to that. And I think he did a lovely job. And he was very vulnerable. I mean, they stripped the actor basically naked. And, it's funny. On my other podcast, I was interviewing an actor and he had to do a scene, and he's probably built a lot like, and same pigmentation, kind of very pale looking as Colm Meaney. And he had to do a show that actually won a big award at a regional theater contest, where he had to go out there basically with just an apron on, and the original script called for just an apron, and his bottom would be revealed. Well, he wore his tighty whities, but still, we talked a little bit about this on my show about how by the way, folks, I do another show called Mysterious Goings On. I don't often cross post, but there is a point here, and he was talking about how it took a lot for him to just be vulnerable because he's like, I'm not an Adonis or something, you know?
Right.
And what I love about Meaney, it's the same thing. He's like, look, this is it.
You get what you get.
Well, think about the other Cardassian, the other actor who got stripped bare by Cardassians, which was Patrick Stewart, and he was buff, though. He was built. I mean, he looked really, really good. You remember that episode? So
sure.
But I just think that it shows what a pro that Meaney is. I mean, you know, he could have probably pulled rank and said, I'm not going shirtless here. I'm not doing this. But he did. He did. And I think that says a lot. And I think he...
I was just going to insert, from my military background, you had obviously you had the infantry guys and the combat guys, young, at the gym constantly,
right?
But there were plenty of us, myself included, that were we're kind of chairborne. You get to a lot of the warrants and the engineers, and they're focused on their job. They're not out working out, and their job is to be fixing stuff, not to be doing hand-to-hand combat. And so I appreciate that level of realism, that there are members of Starfleet that are they're just real people, and they're not
a specimen.
Yeah, exactly. They're not there for hand-to-hand combat.
Well, and frankly, Avery Brooks is, I'm pretty sure, wearing a girdle through half the series. I mean, he's got a belly.
He was in that swimsuit, the purple swimsuit.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, you can just tell he was like, "Look, I'm willing to do a certain amount here, but I'm not gonna bust my chops." So and then you got Bashir, who's really skinny. And listen to us talking about people's bodies here, but it's just that's where we went. But I do that again to illustrate, as I talking about the guy I interviewed on the other show. It's just the vulnerability and what a good actor will do to convey that, because had he been stripped down to just maybe an underwear type garment, which he's worn before, like, you remember the episode where Sisko got put in the box, right?
Sure.
And O'Brien stripped down to his skivvies. Well, that was fine. That worked there. But if he'd just done that for this, it wouldn't be the same level of vulnerability. His dignity would not have been quite as. When his dignity is assaulted, they rip out a tooth, they cut some hair off of him.
Sure.
So he.
Well, and interesting that the interrogation techniques had become more advanced from the time that Picard was interrogated. Although that was a little more old school, but the new school, where they're interrogating and trying to extract information, they were injecting them with, I'm assuming, some sort of sodium pentothal.
True. Well, they did that to Picard too. They injected Picard with some stuff too. Remember?
Yeah, but it seemed a little more technically advanced.
Well, the way I see it, I think that Picard had been abducted by, like, the secret military police, whereas I think O'Brien was abducted by a civilian, for want of a better term, process.
Right, yeah. So they're more politically center.
Right. Right. So, but we're picking nits on that. But so the trial. I mean, there's so many good elements here. I love the way Odo steps in, and it works. I think I love how strong Keiko is. She gets a bad rap, and we used to make fun of her a lot and all that because she was always kind of cake hole. Shut your cake hole, and that's an old joke from an old British show, and that's just worked. But the point is, she was just always so dour and cranky, and that was what she's supposed to be. But when the chips are down, she loves her man. She loves her partner. She's going to be strong. She's the one who saved his life a while back about the coffee thing. When the chips are down, you can count on Keiko. So I thought that was great. But my favorite performance of the episode, though, I'm sorry, it's Fritz Weaver. I think that Kovat, the defender, if you will, or whatever he is, of But it's so funny because he's already lost, and that's what he wants. He wants to lose because
that means the state has won.
Right, because he says, whatever you've done, whatever the charges against you, none of that really matters in the long run. This trial is to demonstrate the futility of behavior contrary to good order. And it's just, that's so it. And I love it too when Odo's back and forthing with him in the court, and he's not even supposed to be doing that. And then there's this bit, and then I love this because it's like something right out of like an old movie. And he's like, "You flatter me, sir. You flatter me." And he's just Fritz Weaver, brilliant. I thought. Yeah. I don't know. Did you find him?
That was fun interaction. Not only did it demonstrate the Cardassian stuff, but just the way.